Hi there, this is Susie Houston, Lifestyle Nurse Specialist with Vidant Lifestyle Medicine Clinic. And I wanted to talk to you all about tofu. I know the bad four-letter word, tofu. So this could be a great protein source and low fat, low calorie, low carb, all that great stuff. But I just wanted you to know how you could give it some flavor. So currently it comes in a box. The one I like, not necessarily the brand, but the one is extra firm. This one is firm and it's not my favorite pick, but I'm working with what I've got, and that's just so. If you ever see this, it's usually in the produce section. It's got its own little section in all the grocery stores in an area, and you might want to just try to grab it and try it out one time. It's less than $3, I'm pretty sure, last time I checked. And what you would do, a couple of things. So do not just take it home and let it sit. Nothing will come of it. But if you take it out, so I cut, this is just my little way, but you might figure something out. But also, there's liquid in there. It sits in, so this is tofu, is from soybeans, and they've pressed it. So it's pressed into these squares. So way back in the 60s or something, or before that even, that's what you got, was a chunk of this, and then you just had to pretend you liked it. So now you'll get the fluid, and what I'll do is I would slice it open, I'd go over to the sink. I've already dumped it, so I get rid of all the fluid, dumping it out. And then the other tip you want to do is, so you've got this kind of tofu cake. It's not cheesecake, so there you go. But I would put it on a plate, and before I'm going to do anything with it, I would put a plate over top of it to get the moisture out. And usually what I like to do is put like a heavier dish over top to help press out the liquid. And so this will sit on my counter so if I was doing that, I might even put like a fruit bowl on there, and it's going to let the moisture seep out. The other piece that you want to do from that is take, because you want it dry, you don't want that water in it. So I would then, so I've had this sitting with the special device on it, tofu device on it, and there's still some fluid, and of course a little bit falls off, but it just depends what you're going to do. I put it on here, give it a little pat. So if I had paper towels, I might pat it. But sometimes what I use, if it's still wet, I would use that instead of like an egg bath if I was going to pan fry this with breadcrumbs. But what we're doing today is just using this in our Asian wraps. Get rid of that. And so what I want is to slice it in strips, because our Asian wraps are going to be skinny. So we don't want big chunks of this. So this is where I would slice it. And we're going to use it, we've got to be delicate with this one. If you get the extra firm, it's going to be sticking together. This one, we're going to just have little strips. So you won't even know that this is going in your wrap. It's just because the flavor is going to mimic whatever you take on. You could put this in chili, and now you've got extra protein going on there. You could make a veggie stir fry, and you could put these in as well, and that's adding to the protein. This one I might set aside because it's being kind of flaky on me, so I would leave that one alone. And we are going to do probably about 6 wraps, so we're going to just have enough here. And I'm not the most delicate, but I'm going to probably have to pick these up with a knife so that I get them right into the wrap that I want to use. So you could go a little thicker, but then you're going to really notice it, and you're just trying to be discreet with your tofu in these wraps. So we got that. And there is, if you ate a piece of this and went, oh, there is no flavor. This is where the dipping sauce that we're making later is going to come in handy and enhance the flavors along with the Asian slaw, or even if you made a stir fry and you put these in. But I will let you know, if you put this into a stir fry or any other kind of dish, it's going to break apart. You're not going to have the strips like that, but you're still going to have that protein there. So we're going to just put that one over there, and there we go. So that should do fine for what we're going to do. There's a little bit of moisture there, so we're going to just make sure it's out of the way. And sometimes what I will do is just take some pepper to give it a little enhanced flavor, is that then some of that can stick on. And there we go. That's us getting started to use our tofu for our dish. And I am here to get us using our Asian slaw and putting it into a wrap so that we can expand it to an appetizer, or it could be a meal, with a salad on the side, or with a chicken dish or a meat dish, or I've got tofu over here that if you go to the detailed instructions on Vidant Wellness Facebook page, you can see how to get the tofu prepared for this. So these are spring roll wrappers. I have got them over here. I've got warm water on here. It's not cooking or anything, but you're just going to put, these are pliable, kind of like frisbee, but we're going to put it in there, and we're going to just it's going to just take a couple of seconds. It says like 15 seconds, and then it's going to be pliable. So we're going to just leave it there, and once we pull one out, we'll put another one in to help with production so that we can move things along. Each wrap is about 15 grams of carbohydrate, so just FYI, if you're counting carbohydrates, you need to take that into account, especially if you have diabetes or you're watching your meal planning. That one wrap would be like a snack because the vegetables would be free for carbohydrates. And then if you were trying or aiming for a meal, you could have 2 or 3, depending on your carb counting budget, as 3 of them would be 45 grams, and that would be like about a medium meal. So our food, I went over time. So there now it's like, this could be like a Halloween kind of skin. So we got like a skin. Just gonna let some of it drip here because we don't want all the water to be on it. I'm gonna put it onto my board here, and you could let it drip a little bit more. So it is like a skin. We're then gonna take a little bit of our mixture here, and we're gonna throw that in a little bit. And so of course, the more you put in, the bigger the wrap gets. And so now we're gonna go over here. We did strips of tofu, and we are going to just add this. If you had leftover chicken or shrimp or any kind of seafood, if you sliced it real thin, you could pop that in here. So now the secret to wrapping is making sure that they stay in. So you want to fold the edges in. So this is us folding, and now you've tucked in all the corners, and you can see the pretty colors, but now you're kind of tightening it up as you move it along. And then here we are. There is our little first wrap done. How's that? Good? Oh. Okay, so oops, I forgot to put one in, but we're gonna do another one. So we are putting the wrap into the warm water, letting it soak a little bit. 15 seconds is what it takes, so you just don't want it, because if you left it any longer, it would just be falling apart. So that was pretty good, that first one that we did. And then just definitely make sure that your slaw that you had, because maybe you had leftovers. Remember, you might have seen the other video we had when we made the slaw, that this now can turn into these things. So then you want to make sure, let it drip a little bit, so that way you are getting some of the moisture off. And you really have to be delicate with it, so try to hold on to it with the tips of your finger, not quite your tips, but like your whole finger, and then lay it out there. It can be, and while we're doing that, I'll put another one in because it shouldn't take us. So we're going to take a little stash of this, plunk it onto there, so it's right in the middle. And you don't want to go to the edges because we're going to fold those in. It's kind of like the seams. And then we're going to scoop up a little bit of this tofu. It's like a little strip. It's really delicate because it's the firm, not the really firm. And that's going to be in there. That's a little bit of protein for you. So we are wrapping, and then you're taking the sides and you're folding it over, tucking in a vegetable if he tries to get out, and then you're bringing it in, and then here we go. And then you try to get it the same kind of shape all the way along. Alrighty, and then we're going to put him over there. So there we got 2. So there is 30 grams of carbohydrates because of that rice wrap. And then my other one is ready to go. So you can't talk too long when you're doing this, otherwise your skin is not in. And I'm going to just drip some there. Because the worst that can happen is that you end up with like a really wet board. So that's okay. You can just stop and start again. So we're taking probably like, I don't know, 2 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons of our slaw, putting it in there. And we're adding our tofu. Don't tell my husband. And then we're going to wrap it up. And you don't even need to tell anybody what's in this. It's a veggie wrap, right? Here we go. And then we are rolling. And see, all the edges get tucked in at the side, so it's like a little package. And you will get better. At first, the first time you do this, it's going to be tricky. And you're going to rip them. And that's okay, because you get a bunch in there. Somebody did put that in there for me. So we'll put that in there again, and we will go all the way through so that we've got a wrap. And I'm making peanut sauce to go with some Asian spring wraps. So what we've got is, we've got peanut butter. So this is smooth. You could use chunky if you wanted to. I've got that. Put about a cup of peanut butter in here. But to thin it down, we are using about another cup. So we're putting a little bit of water, warm water in there. And this is going to get a little sloppy. So you want to have a big enough bowl that you're not going to be messing this all around, but just go gentle. We've added some crushed garlic in there, about a half a teaspoon. We have added some sesame oil, added some soy sauce, and some lime. So I am just mixing it up. You could definitely put this in your little zipper-upper, what you call it, magic bullet, and that will smooth it right down. And keep adding. So every peanut butter is slightly different that you use, that you might just need to keep adding a little bit of warm water just from the tap, and then that will help thin it down some. So we've added a little bit of pepper. Put that in there. We're going to add a little bit of chili pepper in there, give it a spice, and that is us getting down. So this will be, and I would probably thin that out with a little bit more soy, so I'm gonna just grab this here. I'm gonna give it about another tablespoon and another little tablespoon of rice wine vinegar. And you can measure if you like, and then that way you're, getting it, or you can just kind of give it a little judge. And here we are blending things together. And we have just wrapped up our Asian wraps, and we've put a strip of tofu in there. We had our Asian slaw, and we use these spring roll wrappers, and you put them in warm water for 15 seconds, and then that makes it pliable that you're then able to roll these little guys up. So of course the more veggies you put in, the longer they'll get, or the chubbier they'll get. But what we'll do is we'll take these two that we added some nice blackened sesame seeds onto, give it a little decoration. We'll pop this one up. The skinnier you wrap these with the vegetables, the more layers you'll get. So some will be a little whiter. You can tell the ones that have the more vegetables more pronounced is they've got maybe 1 or 2 wraps or rolls. So then to do a little presentation, I'm just going to grab going to grab a little plate, because then this would be nice if you just take your French knife, give it a slice, and then you've got this lovely colorful section in there. So there's all your vitamins, minerals, high fiber. You can even slide a little tofu in there. Maybe nobody will even notice that they've eaten it. So we'll put that there. Here's our other section. They are quite delicate and they're going to fall apart, so you just want to be careful. And then of course we've got our peanut sauce. So I would probably do a little of this, and then you can do a little drizzle. There. And there is your 15 grams of carbohydrates. There is no cooking involved. The warm water that we used for the wraps was just right from the tap. Turn it on really hot. Put it in a pan that's going to be bigger than these so that you can just lay them in there for the 15 seconds. And enjoy.